Hello and welcome back to another video, another restoration. In today's video we've got the Seiko 6106 8120, and as you can see it is pretty bashed up, but it's running. Unlike the one we had in the previous video, this one is running, so that is a positive. We shouldn't have to hopefully fix anything as long as it's looking all good on the inside. But this watch is it's from September 1968, so it's pretty old. It's getting on 60 years old almost. But it's still got the original bracelet. And as you can see, it is pretty scratched up and pretty worn. Whoever's owned this has obviously worn it every day, probably, I'd imagine. I mean, I don't know what that stuff is on the back, whether that's rust or dirt, I don't know. But yeah, it's an amazing watch. It's quite a collectible one nowadays because it has been reissued, so it is quite a collectible one. And because it has the original strap, it's pretty nice. Don't know what that is. I think that's like an original kind of sticker they've put on it. But it's so dirty, the bracelet is so dirty, so I'm just going to start by getting this clasp off so I can get into it. So we'll just get this off. Apologies for blocking the camera. Shouldn't last long. If I can just wedge this out. It's a bit tricky, this one. There we go. Trying to do it cock-handed there. So we've got that side off. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like a bit of foil almost. I don't particularly want to keep that on it because it looks pretty gross. But yeah, I'm just going to get the end links off. Get the bracelet fully off. There we go. Got that one side off. Nice and easy. Let's get in here. I do have quite wide spring bars. That's fine. But yeah, as you can see, this watch is pretty dirty. It's going to need a good clean. But the watch could, I mean, you've noticed this already, but it's got this blue bezel, which to find one of these watches with this like blue bezel is very, very difficult. They're so hard to come by. So it's quite a rare one to get our hands on. But I'm just going to start disassembling it from the actual case now. I'm just going to take the case back off and try and do this gently. If I can without using the vise. Try again. There we go. I did put in the vise there because it was a bit stuck on. I needed to secure it. So I'll just open it up now. But there we go. The 6106A movement. And it's still running. What we like to see. But the oscillating weight actually seems to be moving about very, very nice. Doesn't seem jammed or anything. You can just see the bearings moving around on the inside of that. But it's quite a nice movement. It's one of the more pretty movements Seiko have actually made. It's with the kind of orange finishing on it. It's quite nice. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just gonna start by taking the winding stem out. You just press that little pusher and it brings it right out. Then we'll flip them over. And there we go. Just comes off just like that. I mean, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but the actual hour hand and minute hand the loom is pretty worn. It's not something I really want to change though, because kind of the original loom, but we'll just take them off and secure them away. But yeah, you can kind of see that I don't know what, the hour hand or the minute hand loom, it has worn. It's almost black. I don't know if it's like mould or something, I don't know. But yeah, we'll just take these off so we can get the dial off. Try and pick this up. There we go. Just use a bit of Rodico. It's always safe to do that. And then yeah, the Seiko does have these kind of screws what screw the dial onto the case, so I couldn't film that, so I just had to show you what I'm doing. But yeah, we'll just take the dial off now. It's a very nice dial, still in like literally perfect condition, which is great. We'll just pop it in there, just this little case I put the dial in, just to make sure it doesn't get any dust or whatnot on it. But yeah, I don't really know what that thing's called, but it's kind of just secures the dial and makes sure it doesn't move, I think. But yeah, we'll take that little clip off first so I can get to the day wheel. Try and get my screwdriver under there if I can. There we go. Take that off. But yeah, we'll just take this plate off so we can get to the rest of the movement. But yeah, these screws are some of the smallest in the watch a lot of the time. They make these ones pretty small, but we've got them all off now. Just take that one off. And that one. And then I'll just take this dial guard off, just like that. And the date. But yeah, we're just going to get the top part unscrewed from the date driving wheel. Oops, daisies. But yeah, we'll just get that off. If I can pick it up, which I can. I'm just going to take the hour wheel off now. That sits on the cannon pinion. And then the intermediate wheel. We're just going to gently get this spring off and make sure it doesn't fly anywhere. And then this is a bit which I don't normally see on a lot of the other Seikos I work on, but it's got a bridge for the minute wheel, which goes over the setting wheel and the minute wheel, which is interesting. But we'll just get that off. We'll just try and pick this up, there we go. Now I'm just going to take the minute wheel off. And then get the setting wheel out. They always put some big screws on this. I don't know if that's just, it needs to be secured down quite strong, because it's kind of got a lot of tension on it. But yeah, we'll just get the setting lever spring off. Get the first screw out. And this screw seems to be kind of corroded. I'm just going to put some B-dip on it. I don't know if you can even see me putting it on, but putting some B-dip. It's kind of like isopropyl alcohol, but it's okay to be used on watch movements, just to try and dissolve it so I can actually unscrew it. There we go. And you can actually see it's coming off with the screw. Yeah, that screw is like covered in whatever that is. I don't know if that's rust or if it's just dried grease. I don't know why people would have put oils on that. But anyways, we'll keep moving. We'll just get the setting lever spring off. And then the setting lever itself, if I can pick it up, there we go. And then we'll just grab the clutch wheel out of its little socket. And then we'll just take that as well. We'll just move along and take I'll just take a screw out for that. I think this is called the date corrector spring. And then this is the date corrector finger. It's kind of wedged under. It's got a lot of pressure under here, so I'm going to have to be careful not to ping it anywhere. Just try and leverage that up. There we go. And then we'll take that off too. Nice. Moving on to the back of the watch, we'll start by taking the oscillating weight out, by taking these two screws off. These basically just screw it into the top of the bridge, what it sits on, so it can distribute its wind to the watch. But this watch actually does have an interesting kind of automatic device, would you call it? It's one I've not seen, but I've never worked on this movement before, so maybe that's why, but it's different from a lot of the other Seikos I've seen. But we'll just take this off the top. It is a very pretty movement. They have finished it quite well. We'll just take this other screw off. I do like the orange. Whoever's idea was to put the orange on the metal, it does look pretty good, I think. But yeah, we'll just get this last screw and then we'll move on to the next part of the watch. There we go. And that looks pretty interesting. It's just flat. But anyways, we'll get the ratchet wheel off. I'm just gonna take the screw off for that first. That comes off quite easy. And then I'm just gonna take the balance wheel off at the very start, just so it's nice and safe and doesn't risk getting damaged when I take anything else off. Just pick it up nice and gently. There we go. Nice. But yeah, we'll just take this bridge off, what sits over the train wheels. It's always a lot easier to take this bridge off than it is to put it on. Putting this bridge on is one of the most frustrating part of watchmaking sometimes, I find. Lining up all them jewels with the pivots. But anyways, we'll continue to take it off and see what's waiting for us underneath. The last screw. And there we go. Just lift that off gently. And And there we go. Just take the wheels out to begin with. And then I don't know, I'm not particularly sure what that is or what that does. I've never seen that before in a Seiko. I don't know what that part is. And then this is also an interesting thing. The actual click is screwed into the movement on this movement, which is also very interesting. I've not seen that on some of the other Seiko 5 models. But yeah, it's actually screwed in. But yeah, we'll take the bridge off of the centre wheel. Just get that unscrewed. It's always quite satisfying taking that off and putting that back on it. Goes on quite nice. But yeah, we'll take that off. And then I can take the mainspring out. And then this is the pallet fork bridge. Just gets held in by these two screws. A lot of unscrewing when you're dismantling a watch. As you can see, the screws are miniature. They're so small. But there we go. And then we'll take the bridge off. And the pallet forks came with it. It's just kind of pivot still sitting in the jewel, but that's fine. Then we'll just take the escape wheel off. And then I didn't actually get that on camera, but I forgot to take the cannon pinion off on the other side, so that's why I've got the third wheel, or the centre wheel there. But anyways, that's now the watch, pretty much fully disassembled. There's some dried up lubricants on these jewels, so I'm going to have to kind of clean them off. But we're going to put the parts of the watch into these little containers I've got. Just going to fill these up. And then I'll put these into my ultrasonic cleaner to give them a wash to kind of clean off any dried up lubricants or oils or anything what could be on them and affecting the time and running of the watch. But yeah, I don't put every part of the watch in these things, I just put the kind of safe parts, the ones you can safely put in. Just get these all shut. But yeah, I'm going to move on to cleaning some of these pallet jewels because they do have a bit of dried up lubricant. So I've got some B-dip, which is a kind of alcohol. It's not alcohol based, but it's similar to like an alcohol based solution. Where you kind of just take off any oils or stuff that may be lingering. And sorry for the noise, but it does evaporate with into there. So doing that makes it speed up the process. But yeah, we'll just move on to doing these ones as well. I'm just going to do them all just to make sure it's kind of all. I've done as much as I can. But yeah, it's kind of. People buy these wooden pegs, but I actually got these ones at Tesco. I think they're for a barbecue. But you get a 3-pack for like £1. So much better value buying them ones than buying like the Swiss-made wooden sticks, which cost you a tenner, or however much they cost. But anyways, we'll just clean the jewels on both sides of the training bridge. And dry it off again. And then you can always use some Rodico to just take off any excess moisture, what might still be there. And then we'll just do it for this as well. I think that's the centre wheel bridge I've got. And then we'll finally do it to the pallet fork bridge. which there's probably not a lot of dried up lubricants on all of these, but it's, oh, I've just launched that. But yeah, it's better to just do it than leave it. Ultimately, it'll go towards making the watch run better, so that's what we're after. And in this part, this is for the automatic winding, and I don't particularly want to put this in the ultrasonic cleaner just because it's got them like ball bearings in the centre, if you can see. So I'm just gonna once again use the bead upon this jewel and give it a bit of a clean. And then once again, this is just another part where I'm probably boring you with the amount of things I'm cleaning here with the wooden peg, but it's got to be done. It's all part of servicing a watch movement. And then this is actually the underside of the automatic winding works. I believe this is the pawl lever, which this basically kind of moves back and forth on another wheel, what helps to ultimately wind the watch. So yeah, as you can see, the glass is pretty banged up, but I'm gonna have to take the bezel off here. So there's a little slot which you can probably see there, which I'm just gonna take it off like that, and it is pretty darn dirty under there. Oh my god, there's a lot of rust there. Wow. Yeah, you can see the gasket as well, it's kind of just worn away. But yeah, see the gasket is just completely disintegrated. Wow. That tends to happen to these watches when they get to a certain age. The gaskets just turn to like, it's almost like salt. It's like, I know dust is a solid, but it's like a kind of chunk of dust which just breaks when you press it hard enough. But yeah. And yeah, this is just covered in dirt and rust as well, but this is coming off quite easy on this part. This kind of just holds the glass into the case. But yeah, we should be able to get most of this off with just the pegwood, because it does seem to be coming off quite easily, which is nice. And then the glass, yeah, the glass is coming off the glass okay. I mean, we're probably going to have to replace this glass. Because it is pretty scratched. But I don't know if I'm going to replace it. I might replace it in future, but we'll wait and see. I might be able to potentially restore it a little bit. But yeah, this clasp as well, man. I don't know if that's just dried up sweat or whatever that is. It's just a bit manky like. Just going to take the kind of hard bits off. But yeah, we're moving on to the clasp here, and this foil thing is like glued on, but it's like, it is solid. I'm having to use this knife because I tried to do it with a bit of wooden peg, but it is rock solid glued onto that. But yeah, don't know what they've secured that on there with, but it's almost like chewing gum consistency. It's a bit disgusting, really. Yeah, we've got most of it off there, but it's literally like rubber. It is not wanting to come off at all. It's like rubber on the actual metal. And then I don't know what this is. Honestly, this looks like hard coal. It's like someone's put in a fire. don't know where this person's worn this watch, but it's so chatty. It's like coal or charcoal or something. It's so dirty. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of clean as best as I can, and then we'll chuck it in the ultrasonic cleaner with some solutions to hopefully just completely melt all this kind of remainder stuff away. Yeah, even the end links have got that kind of black stuff in it, which I don't really know what that is. Don't know where this person's been cutting about with this watch, but it is horrifically dirty. But yeah, I'm going to fill the ultrasonic cleaner here with some deionized water, which is basically just water without any of the minerals in it, because sometimes if you put, well, not sometimes, but if you put the watch parts in the ultrasonic cleaner with normal, like, tap water, because they've got minerals and stuff in it, it will, like, rust the parts, and you'll risk getting loads of rust on everything, which is not what we're after. So we'll chuck some deionized water in first, and then I do have a solution to go in after, which is Elma's Luxury Clean, which this stuff is makes you want to wear a gas mask being in the same room as it, because it's so strong. You need like a respirator to breathe properly. But yeah, we'll chuck that in, and then we'll just put the watch parts in and switch it on. I'm gonna chuck that on for half an hour and then see how it is. But you can even see the plumes like kind of coming up there. It's like a milky solution now, God. Okay. Start by taking the actual watch parts out, see how they are. Hopefully all good. Yeah, these are looking quite clean, which is nice. Yeah, they're looking fresh. That is what we're after. The purpose of doing this is really just to take off any dried up lubricants, just to make sure everything runs well. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, everything's shining. It is looking so good. So we're going to start by getting some kind of fine viscosity lubricant and lubricating the kind of pallet jewels to begin with. These basically just the pivots of the wheel sit in these, so when the watch is running, the pivots are spinning, so when you lubricate this, it basically just makes it so the watch runs more smooth. So there's no sort of friction or anything what kind of holds it up. But yeah, we'll just chuck the centre wheel in there. Nice and easy. And then the escapement wheel sits on top of it in its own little jewel. Just like that. And then I've got some medium viscosity oil now, which I'm just going to very finely lubricate the kind of gear on that centre wheel, and then we'll put the bridge on. And it's slotted on very nicely there. Just make sure it is actually on properly, which it is. And then we'll chuck its screw in. And then get that screwed on. And then it's time for the mainspring to go on. And I have just changed the mainspring out, so it is fresh and ready for the watch to help it run smooth, which is good. But yeah, that's working, sitting all flush there. And yeah, now I need to screw in the click, which I can't get my head around that. I've not seen Seiko do that before. Maybe that's common, I don't know. But on all the Seikos I've seen before, I've never seen them have a screw down click. But yeah, that's the thing when you do watchmaking, you open up these watches and a lot of the time it's stuff what's you've not seen before. It's like entering the unknown when you open the case back up. But a lot of the parts, I mean, I don't know what this part is or what this part does. I'm kind of just putting this part back in how it was when I took it out. It obviously sits at the clutch wheel. Oh, this is probably the hack, I guess. That makes sense. Yeah, that must be the hack. Because it's sitting against the escapement wheel. Yeah, so I guess, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe that was the hack. So if you pull the crown out to set the time, it stops the second hand. So you can get set the watch more accurately. That'll be what that is. Now I've just figured it out. But yeah, we'll just chuck the third wheel in there. And then I'm just going to lubricate the gear on the second wheel and just slide that into its little spot there. And then try and get them all sitting nicely so I can get the bridge on. And this is a pain sometimes, but hopefully I can get it on quite quickly now. We shall see. You basically have to line where the purple rubies are. You have to line the top of them wheels up in there, but because there's like 3 to line up, it can be quite a hassle sometimes. But there, that's me got it now. I did have to cut the camera there for a second because that took a while. Took longer than needed because I was forgetting to do something, but we'll put the screws in now. And it is all on right, which is nice. Just put the last screw in. I don't know if this helps, but I normally just do this just so it has some sort of like hold on it, so it keeps the bridge down. I just press it down like that so it doesn't move and cause me to have to line it up again, which would be a nightmare. Get that screw screwed down. Same with this one. But yeah, this watch is actually finished very nice for Seiko movement. It's got like a kind of brushed finish on the bridge and the main plate, which is a lot more than can what be said for some other watch brands. They kind of just throw any bit of scrap metal on it and hope it works. But there we go, that is lovely. That's what you want to see. I'm just going to put some very fine viscosity lubricant on the top of these jewels, and it basically just seeps in and lubricates the top of them pivots. And we'll put a bit of medium viscosity on top of there where the ratchet wheel is going to sit, just because that's going to be a lot of metal contact, which needs to be lubricated a bit more. We'll just get that sitting in place. That's the ratchet wheel. This is basically the part where its job is to wind the watch. When that spins, it kind of twists the spring, what's inside the mainspring, which powers the watch. It gives it wind. But as you can see, when I'm spinning it here, because I've not got the pallet fork on, all the wheels are just spinning by themselves. I'm just going to very gently lubricate the jewels on, or they're not jewels, but the stones on the pallet fork, and get that popped into its place next to the escapement wheel. And this basically just, it stops the wind from being distributed, like all at once, so it goes back and forth to distribute like energy at a set rate. And that's basically how the watch works. And then that rate is pretty much set by the balance wheel, which goes on next. But yeah, we'll just get this lined up. Do not want to screw this down when it's not properly seated, because you can break the pivot on the pallet fork, which I have done before. Not on this watch, but on other watches I have done that when I was first learning how to do this. There's a lot of trial and error when you learn, and you do break a lot of stuff, but you make sure not to do it again. It provides you a valuable lessons on what not to do. So, but anyways, we'll get these screws put down. And there we go, that's just flush now with the main point. And then I'm just gonna try and test if the watch has got any wind in it. And I'm just gonna try and gently tap the back of the pallet fork. We'll put a bit more wind in it because it wasn't really doing much there. What I want to see is that kind of fork shape pinging back and forward, left to right, with me touching it. There you go. You see how it moved really fast there? It's got like, you can see it's all good. The watch seems to be working, which is good. Now we just need to make sure this goes on, and it should run. That's almost like a little test what you do before you put the balance wheel on, because if that test is good, it should mean that when you put the balance wheel on, it should work. But yeah, getting this pivot seated can be sometimes tricky. So I'm just going to have a play about with it and try and get it flush, because this one it's not wanting to seat properly. I'm going to put the screw in first, just to try and maybe hold it down a little bit more while I move it. This balance wheel has been a bit of a... There we go. It's just started up when I'm putting the screw in. Perfect. And it is running really well. There we go. Just give it a bit more wind. And there we have it, the watch is working. It's one of the best sights you can see when you're disassembling and reassembling a watch, doing that. Because then you know you've not broke anything important, I guess. But yeah, we'll put this lever back in here. This is part of the automatic works. And then this little gear here basically sits in between these two lever arms, and then when the oscillating weight spins, the thing what you can see on the top of the movement, it spins, and it basically causes these lever arms to move like back and forward along this gear, and then it winds the ratchet wheel by doing that. So that's how it delivers energy to the mainspring. But yeah, we'll just get this little plate sat on top to hold everything down. It kind of just sits on and kind of holds everything down. But this, because it's not flat, it is quite hard to line it up. It can be quite fidgety doing this. But we've got it on. And then I'm just going to put this this on top of the bridge. Just go line it up with the ratchet wheel screw. And there we go, that should be lined up. I'm just going to pop the screws in now. Just put the last screw in, and then we'll get them screwed down. This movement is a lot nicer to work on, and it's one of the things which you probably can't tell when you're watching this video, but when you're working on it, it's quite noticeable that a lot of the screw holes are a lot deeper, so like when you're screwing them down, they're not like popping out, like they're almost like already screwed in a little bit because they're sitting deep in the metal as it is, which is really nice. It makes it kind of servicing these watches a lot more enjoyable. You're not like launching screws across your room. But yeah, we'll just get these all nicely fastened in. And then this centre bit, what I'm touching here, is basically what the oscillating weight screws into, and it kind of just spins. And there you go, you can see the ratchet wheel spinning there. But yeah, we're just going to chuck a little bit of oil in all these pivot holes with the jewel. You can kind of see the top of the pivots in them. I'm just going to put some very fine viscosity oil in there. And then we're going to move back onto the date corrector finger and pop that into its position here. It kind of just sits in with a bit of force. You never like forcing stuff on watches because stuff breaks so easy, but and then we'll chuck the spring in. Apologies if you can hear the traffic outside. I do have the window open because it's roasting. But yeah, we'll chuck this screw in now. If I can, there we go. Get that screwed down. And then the clutch wheel just sits in its little position like that. And then I believe that's the yoke. It looks a bit different on this watch, but I believe that is the yoke. And then I'm just going to chuck a bit more medium viscosity oil on this part where the other spring's going to go, because it does have a lot of friction, that one. So you do not want it to be grinding against any sort of wall or anything. There we go. That's nice and set in its spot. And then yeah, you can see, I mean, I've had this in the ultrasonic cleaner, but you can still see the kind of damage. I don't know what that is on top of that, but whoever's been at that watch has put something in that screw hole. What's kind of stained it or rusted it slightly. I don't know. Don't know what that is, but it's not massively important. Like, there's nothing. That screw is not doing all that much besides just holding this in place, so it should be fine. I'm just going to gently kind of make sure that's sitting where it should be on the yoke, and it is. So we'll just get this screwed on. And then the cannon pinion goes on there. I'm just going to gently press it in like that. And then I'll give it a bit of medium viscosity lubrication on the gear part of it. And then also on where the minute wheel sits. Just because, again, metal on metal contact's not what you're after. You want these watches to last forever, so you need to make sure you oil them. It's kind of like a car, really. You don't want to run your car on no oil, so it wouldn't be very good for it. So there we go, we'll just place the minute wheel in. And then once again, I'm just going to put the medium viscosity oil on the stem for this gear. Get that in place as such. And then we'll just wipe it off the setting wheel. Just because we don't want any excess, because that's what can cause that screw to kind of be jammed up like it was. just get that in place. And then we'll put this bridge back on the minute wheel and the setting wheel. But yeah, I do quite like this part because it is actually, kind of holds everything in quite nice. It's just a kind of nice little touch. But yeah, we'll get that screwed down as such. And then I'm just gonna put more medium viscosity lubricant on the kind of wall of that plate, just where this spring touches. And then I'm gonna put some more on this stem and the cannon pinion. Just going to clean it up a little bit because I did put a little bit too much on there. There's no harm in just going back and cleaning it up. But I'll just put the intermediate wheel on here. And then the hour wheel just sits on top like that and interacts with the intermediate wheel. And then we're just going to put some more lubricant, but I will clean that up because that is quite a bit. Oop, I'm kind of spreading it everywhere now. I will clean that up a lot more. There we go. And then the date driving wheel will just sit on here. I do need to line it up a bit better though. I think what I should have done was put the intermediate wheel on after that, but oh well, we'll learn. And then we'll put this little top part onto it now. There we go. We'll get the screw and put that in. There we go. We'll just get that screwed down. Then we'll just get the date ring. Date ring just slides on like that and sits on top. It does kind of have to interact with that spring what I put on before. It kind of puts a bit of tension on it so it can move. And then we'll just put this dial guard on. Got a line, I'm just going to line this up with some screw holes. And there we go, that should be on. Oh. These screws are very small, so cannot afford for them to go flying. There we go. Now we'll just get them screwed down. But yeah, we're getting there. The watch is almost assembled. We are getting there. Oh. There we go. I normally just put them all down. I normally just screw them in down like 70% and then go back and do like the 100%, just so it kind of evens out. But yeah, we've got the day wheel in here. Once again, this kind of just needs to be, it's a bit fidgety. You just kind of have to feel it out. But yeah, I forgot I had to put this on first, so I'm just going to try and set this on the stem so it holds the day wheel in place. There we go. And then I should be able to wiggle this around and get it sitting. There we go. That clicks what you want to hear. Back with the medium viscosity lubricant on the winding stem. We'll just give it a fair bit because it is going to interact with a lot of metal components, and I mean, when you're like interacting with your watch, the one thing where you're twisting and moving about the most is that, so it is something what does need to be lubricated well. But here we go, we'll put the dial on now. Just going to gently press it onto its little spot. Yeah, we've got this little membrane box which I put the hands in. It kind of just suspends them on a kind of film, which is quite nice. It kind of keeps them from getting damaged at all. But I'm going to start by putting the hour hand on first. Basically just set this at 12 o'clock. I've wound the watch so the days just went over, so it will be, like you can see the days just about to go over there. I'm going to press it in. There we go. And then the same with the minute hand. Just going to gently press that down. And make sure it is on right. I'll just give it a little spin. And then the second hand just sits on top. That went on very nice and easy. And I'll just give that a little push. There we go. We're running. The watch is running, yes. And then yeah, I was right before when I thought it was a hacking lever, because this watch does have a hack function. But yeah, the crystal is very scratched, but I am thinking that I could potentially recover it to some degree. I don't know if I'll be able to get to a state I'm happy with it, but I've basically got this stuff called Polywatch. It's kind of like a diamond pasted, like grit polish, which you just kind of just rub in, and I mean, it's done a decent job. And I think that's going to be fine for now. I might get a new glass before I take the final videos of this watch, but we'll have to see. I'm just going to get this glass kind of retaining wheel pressed in. So my hand's covering it, sorry. Just get that pressed in. And then yeah, the bezel. The bezel kind of sits awkwardly on the spring. You kind of have to get the spring underneath it. But there we go. I'm just going to flip that over. And now the movement is in the case, so we are almost done now. There we go, it is in the case. I'm just going to pop the winding stem in here just like that. And then we'll just put this little kind of movement retainer so it can't move about. Make sure that's sitting nice and flush as it should. And the last thing to go on really is the oscillating weight. Just two little screws will hold it in place. And I'll just pop them in. There we go. They are very small, them screws. And I'll just get these. Oh, forgot I need to hold that there. Get that screwed down. There we go. And that's moving how it should do. Perfect. And the case back just pops on like that, and we'll give it a little twist. And then I'm just going to get the tool to tighten it up. But yeah, I mean the watch is in now. I mean, the scratches on the glass, I'm not sure I actually hate it. I think it actually gives a bit of character. But we'll get the bracelet on, so I just need to press these into place. Get these spring bars pushed down. These can be a pain, but nah, they're being quite easy on this watch, which is nice. But yeah, there you have it. First glimpse of the watch, cased up. And then the last little spring bar we need to get pushed down. After this is in, the watch is complete. And there we go. So there you go. That is this watch fully finished now, fully reassembled. I did actually go back and change the glass over and put a new one on, just to get rid of the small scratches because they were kind of annoying. But yeah, if you did enjoy watching this video and you'd like to comment, subscribe, like, anything like that, I would appreciate it so much because it helps me kind of make more of these videos because I'm not just making them for no reason. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.